Good morning, everybody. I hope you all are doing fantastic today, and welcome to our presentation. We got a great topic ahead of us, folks, as we're going to be discussing how to take the rail with Amtrak Vacations as is your best alternative to flying. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Bennell, and I am one of our business development executives with Amtrak Vacations. And a little bit about myself. Next week, I will be celebrating my 7th anniversary being with Amtrak Vacations. I absolutely love rail travel. I've done quite a bit extensively throughout the United States, all throughout Canada, and all throughout Europe. So it's something I'm very passionate about. And I'm very excited to be here with you all today to go over some of this wonderful information. Before we get started, don't forget to download the handouts. On your right-hand side of your go-to webinar control panel, you should see a little drop-down bar. There's going to be 2 handouts attached. There's going to be one in regards to our New Year, New Deal promotion we have going on, as well as one that explains the Amtrak sleeping accommodations on board the train. And now is the time as well throughout the presentation. If you have any questions at all, input those questions into the questions box where that bottom arrow is pointing, and I will be more than happy to answer any and all questions that you may have for me today. Now, I mentioned that New Year, New Deals. What is that? Well, we have this wonderful promotion going on right now that if you book between essentially now and this coming Friday, you can save yourself some really big savings. If you book a vacation package that's 3 to 6 nights long, you save yourself $300 off per couple. If you book a vacation package that's 7 to 9 nights long, you get $400 off per couple. Or if you book a vacation package that's 10 or more nights, you automatically get $500 off per couple. Now, this is applicable to new reservations only, and you won't want to miss because these savings, as I mentioned, end this Friday. So definitely a great time to take advantage of it, of a really great trip, and save some money off of the top of that. Now let's find out what makes Amtrak Vacations different. Well, there's several reasons for that. First and foremost, traveling by rail is a bucket list experience. In fact, we surveyed all of our travelers as to why they chose traveling with Amtrak and Amtrak Vacations, and the number one consensus answer we kept finding was that it was a bucket list trip. If you think about it, you may have done an ocean cruise, you may have done an all-inclusive to maybe Mexico or the Caribbean, maybe you've done a trip to Disney World, maybe you've done an escorted tour through Europe or maybe Asia or South America, and just maybe now you've conquered river cruising and you're looking for that next adventure, something fun, different, and unique. The rail can satisfy each and every single one of those needs. There's the freedom and flexibility. One of the best parts about our vacation packages is we offer daily departures. Almost every single package we operate runs daily, with just the exception of a few of our seasonal national park packages. The beauty of that is you can travel when you want to travel. It's not like a cruise where there's select sailing dates or an escorted tour where there's select start dates. You can actually travel when you want to travel. And it's hassle-free. There's none of this business about checking in 24 hours ahead of time or showing up 2 to 3 hours before your departure like you would with a flight. No. How does 45 minutes to an hour sound? I can tell you that is the average time people will typically show up prior to their Amtrak departure, really making it as hassle-free as possible. Official tour operator. That is a title we carry with pride, as we are the official tour operator for Amtrak. We work hand in hand with Amtrak to bring these wonderful vacation packages to life. We're the only ones that you can use the Amtrak name, logo, and Amtrak likeness, and we really have a really great relationship to make these packages happen with Amtrak. We offer some really great city-to-city service. This is one thing I absolutely love about rail travel, as you can avoid those long airport transfers. With Amtrak, we typically go from downtown to downtown, city center to city center, putting you right where you want to be right off the bat so you can start your vacationing and your sightseeing off on the right foot. And lastly, something for everyone. There is something for everyone to enjoy on an Amtrak Vacations package. It doesn't matter who you are, your age, who you're traveling with, or this type of trip you're traveling on. There is something for everyone to enjoy on an Amtrak Vacations trip. There's nothing like it, folks. You're going to absolutely love it. Now, I love showing this map because it really amazes me at how extensive Amtrak's system really is. In fact, Amtrak services 46 out of the 48 continental states here in the United States, with the exceptions of South Dakota and Wyoming. And last year, Amtrak set their ridership record with over 32.5 million passengers. To put that into perspective, if Amtrak was an airline, Amtrak would have been the 6th most flown airline in the world. definitely goes to show you, or in the United States rather, it definitely goes to show you that rail travel is in demand, and there's no time but now for you to experience it firsthand. Now you might say, Nick, this sounds great, but where do these vacation packages start? Well, luckily for you, our vacation packages are fully customizable, that you can start your vacation package right from your local station. In fact, there's over 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States and Canada, and you can start and or end your vacation package at any of these 500 stations. It's as easy as that. Alternatively, if you wanted to fly to your start destination and or fly home from your end destination, that's all possible too with Amtrak Vacation. I can tell you a good 60% of people that book with Amtrak Vacations will fly at some point on their Amtrak Vacations trip. Now, keep this in mind throughout the presentation. Customization. What does that mean? Well, all of our trips have the ability to be customized and tailor-made to your liking. It's not like an escorted tour where you have that set itinerary and you can't really deviate from that itinerary and schedule. All of our packages have the ability to be customized to your liking. Perhaps you could take one of our trips. Maybe you want to add nights or remove nights, add a destination or remove a destination. Maybe you want to do a trip in reverse or do a portion of a package. Maybe you want to combine multiple itineraries into one vacation package, or maybe you just want to build a package from the ground up. Maybe you have a dream trip in mind that we might not necessarily offer. Well, it is all possible with Amtrak Vacations, as everything we offer has the ability to be customized to your liking. So with all that said, folks, let's go over some of our top itineraries that we have going on for 2020. And the first one we're going to go over is our Grand National Parks of the Southwest. This trip is tremendously popular. We introduced this trip last year, and it features 5 national parks within 7 days. How exciting is that? You get to visit 5 of the Southwest's top national parks. So this trip starts out of Chicago. Now you're going to notice a trend throughout this presentation today that a lot of these trips do start and end in Chicago, and the reason for that is simply because Chicago is Amtrak's hub station. However, as I just mentioned, all of these trips can be fully customized to start and or end right from your local station. So this trip starts out of Chicago, where we hop on board the Amtrak California Zephyr train, which is a really tremendous, very scenic train that Amtrak has to offer. I've done it myself, and the scenery is unbelievable. And we're going to do an overnight train from Chicago to Grand Junction, Colorado, where we will arrive the following afternoon. When we arrive in Grand Junction, Colorado, you're going to do one night in a centrally located lodge in Grand Junction. And then the next day, you're going to be picked up by a private SUV transfer. Now, this transfer is going to drive you from Grand Junction, Colorado, down to Springdale, Utah. However, it's going to be your sightseeing tour as well, a private sightseeing tour where you get to visit both Arches and Canyonlands national parks, and you get to experience the best of those 2 national parks and what they have to offer. After our 2 nights, or after we visited the 2 national parks, we're then going to continue onward to Springdale, Utah, and we're going to do 2 nights in a centrally located lodge in Springdale. And while we're in Springdale, we're going to get a full day guided sightseeing tour of one of the most visited national parks here in the United States. That's right, we're paying a visit to Zion National Park, one of the most visited, one of the most popular national parks here in the United States. It is absolutely stunning. After we have visited Zion National Park and after we have done our 2 nights in Springdale, we're going to be once again picked up by that private SUV transfer, and that's going to drive us back up to Grand Junction, Colorado. And this time en route, we're going to stop off and visit both Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef National Parks to get to experience the best of those 2 national parks and what they have to offer as well. Once we reach Grand Junction, Colorado that evening, we're going to do one more night in a centrally located lodge in Grand Junction. And then the next afternoon, you're going to hop on board the Amtrak California Zephyr and do the overnight train back to Chicago. So this trip right here, everyone, is 7 days, 6 nights. And within that 7 days and 6 nights, you get to visit 5 different U.S. national parks. You visit Arches, Canyonlands, Zion, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef. This package also includes the round-trip transfers on that private SUV from Grand Junction, Colorado, down to Springdale, Utah. Overall, it's 4 nights hotel, 2 nights on board the train, and yes, those 2 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which I would highly recommend upgrading to the sleepers, where you will get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now, I'm very excited to share this next trip with you as it has been one of our most popular packages for the past 4 years. I'm very excited as we're going to visit the Grand National Parks featuring Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Glacier National Park. Now, there's 2 reasons why this trip is tremendously popular. First off, you get to visit 3 of the most iconic national parks here in the United States. And B, you also get to visit and utilize 3 of the most scenic routes that Amtrak has to offer. It's a really fantastic trip. So this trip starts off once again doing the overnight train from Chicago to Salt Lake City, Utah on the California Zephyr, where we'll do an overnight train from Chicago and we'll arrive into Salt Lake City the following evening. When we get into Salt Lake City, we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Salt Lake City hotel. The next day, you're going to hop on board the Salt Lake Express, which is a motor coach transfer, which will take you from Salt Lake City up to West Yellowstone, Montana. And when you get up to West Yellowstone, Montana, you're going to do 2 nights in a centrally located lodge in West Yellowstone. While we're in West Yellowstone, we are going to have a full-day guided sightseeing tour of Yellowstone National Park's lower loop. Now, this tour is fantastic. I did this tour myself 2 years ago, and it was amazing. The amount of wildlife and the amount of scenery to be seen on this tour is amazing. On this tour, for example, for wildlife, I saw elk, endless amounts of elk. I saw probably over 100 bison. I saw bald eagles. I saw coyotes, but the real highlight for me was I saw a pack of wild gray wolves, which was really, really, really excellent. And for scenery, you're going to definitely see some of the major sites that Yellowstone has to offer. You're going to see the Painted Pots, Grand Prismatic Springs. You're going to see Old Faithful Geyser erupt. In fact, it's guaranteed on this tour that you will see Old Faithful Geyser. It's a really fantastic tour, and I highly, highly recommend it. After our 2 nights in Yellowstone are all said and done, we'll then take the Salt Lake Express motor coach transfer back down to Salt Lake City. When we get back down to Salt Lake City, we're going to do we're going to catch an evening train, an overnight train. But before we do so, we actually have a dinner included at the famous Roof Restaurant, which is this really excellent buffet-style dinner that sits atop the famous Joseph Smith building in Temple Square, and it offers some really tremendous views of Salt Lake City. After dinner, we're going to hop aboard an evening train, an overnight train on the California Zephyr, where we arrive the following afternoon into San Francisco, California. And when we arrive into San Francisco, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel, typically in the Fisherman's Wharf area or the Union Square area of the city. While we're in San Francisco, we're going to have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take you around San Francisco on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions that San Francisco has to offer. And we'll also get a full-day guided motor coach tour of Yosemite National Park. Now, you don't have to worry about getting yourselves to and from the park. The tour will pick you up, drive you out to Yosemite, and you'll get a full-day comprehensive tour of the Yosemite Valley. After our fun in San Francisco is all said and done, and after we've done our sightseeing in Yosemite National Park, we are then going to hop on board the Amtrak Coast Starlight, which has been voted the most scenic train in North America the past 3 years. And we're going to do an overnight train from San Francisco to Seattle, Washington, where we will arrive the following evening. When we get into Seattle, we'll do 1 night in a downtown Seattle hotel. And while we're in Seattle, we get admission to the Space Needle, as it can be seen on your screen, Seattle's most iconic landmark. After our fun in Seattle is all said and done, and after we've done our sightseeing in the Space Needle, we're going to board an evening train, an overnight train on Amtrak's Empire Builder, which is the most northern route that Amtrak has to offer. And we're going to do an overnight train from Seattle to Glacier National Park, where we will arrive the following morning. When we get into Glacier National Park, you're going to do 3 nights at the Glacier Park Lodge, which is the oldest and most historic of the Great Northern Railway hotels. It was actually built in 1912, and it is a stunning property. And while we're in Glacier Park, we have 2 tours included. The first tour is the Big Sky Circle Tour, which is the main tour of the park. It's a full-day tour that utilizes the Going to the Sun Road, which is the main stretch of road that runs right through the middle of Glacier Park. It is by far the most comprehensive tour that Glacier Park has to offer. This tour is really amazing. And then the second tour we get is a boat ride on Two Medicine Lake, which is situated in the Two Medicine Valley area of Glacier National Park. And it's really neat because it's a whole separate area of the park that first tour does not visit. So you get to see a whole nother area of Glacier National Park. After our fun in Glacier is all said and done, we will then hop on board the Amtrak Empire Builder, and we're going to do another overnight train from Glacier Park back to Chicago. So this trip right here, everyone, is 14 days, 13 nights. We visit 3 awesome national parks. We visit Yellowstone, where we get the Yellowstone Lower Loop tour. We visit Yosemite National Park. We get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour in San Francisco. We go up to Seattle, and we get one night in Seattle, and we get admission to the Space Needle, and then we get 3 nights in Glacier Park with the 2 tours, the Big Sky Circle tour and the 2 Medicine Valley boat tour, boat cruise included. Overall, it's 9 nights hotel, 5 nights on board the train, and this trip I highly recommend upgrading to the sleeping accommodations, where you'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now, maybe you like the idea of a trip like this, but maybe you just want to be on the train as much as possible. Maybe you just want to put the true focus on being, doing the rail travel rather than visiting destinations. Well, folks, I'm very excited to share this next trip with you. It's our US in Canada rail experience. This trip is fantastic because you get to experience trains in 2 different countries, 2 different experiences, one amazing package. So this trip starts off out of Chicago, where we hop on board the Empire Builder once again, and we do a 2-night train journey from Chicago all the way to Seattle. When we arrive in Seattle, we'll then switch right over to one of Amtrak's most scenic regional routes called the Cascades, and we're going to take that from Seattle, Washington, up to Vancouver, BC. And when we get up to Vancouver, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown Vancouver hotel. While we're in Vancouver, we get a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Vancouver, which will take you around the city on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions that Vancouver has to offer. Vancouver is one of my favorite cities that I have ever visited, so a lot of interesting sights to be seen there. It's really beautiful. On top of this, you'll also get admission to the Vancouver Lookout, which actually can be seen on the top middle of your screen. It's that round, that observation deck looking building. That is a really fantastic way. You get admission to that, and you get to see the Vancouver skyline from atop. It's really, really awesome. After our 2 nights in Vancouver is all said and done, we're going to then hop aboard the Via Rail, the Canadian, which is the cross Canada train. In fact, you're going to do a 4-night journey from Vancouver as you cross Canada all the way to Toronto. Now, I've done a portion of that journey myself. That train ride is marvelous. Those trains are absolutely stunning. They're classic trains, then they completely refurbished them to keep that retro look, but very modern on the inside. The food service on Via Rail is amazing. The accommodations are phenomenal, and you get to see almost every single landscape that Canada has to offer. After our 4-night train journey from Vancouver all the way to Toronto, we'll arrive into Toronto 4 days later in the morning. And when we get into Toronto, we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Toronto hotel. And while we're in Toronto, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Toronto, which will take you around the city on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions, as well as we also get admission to the famous CN Tower, which can be seen right on your screen, which is one of the most iconic landmarks in the city of Toronto. After our stay in Toronto is all said and done, we will then set you up with a private transfer that will take you from Toronto down to Buffalo, New York. And when you get down to Buffalo, New York, you're going to switch over to the Amtrak Lakeshore Limited train and do the overnight train back to Chicago. So this trip right here, everybody, is going to be 8 days, 7 nights. It's 3 nights hotel, 4 nights on board the train. And yes, those 4 nights on the train are in economy coach, much like Amtrak. Via Rail, it does have coach, and then you can upgrade to the sleepers on Via. When you upgrade to the sleeping accommodations on Via Rail, you will get a private room with beds, a private toilet and sink in room, shower access, and you get all your meals on board the train included as well. And this package does also include the 1-way transfer from the hotel in Toronto to the train station in Buffalo. Now, maybe you'll like this, but maybe you just want to keep it within the United States. Well, we have such great trips as our Northern Rail experience. This trip is phenomenal. In fact, the Northern Rail experience utilizes 3 of the most scenic routes that Amtrak has to offer. This trip is fantastic, and this is really, if you want to put your experience more on the train rather than the destination. So this package starts off out of Chicago, where we do the Empire Builder, that most northern route on Amtrak in its entirety, as we go all the way from Chicago to Seattle, Washington, where we arrive 2 days later in the morning. When we get into Seattle, we'll do one night in a downtown Seattle hotel. And while we're in Seattle, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Seattle, which will take you around the city on a big loop. And you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions that Seattle has to offer. It will take you by the famous Space Needle. It'll take you over by the Pike's Place Market, as it's seen right on your screen. It'll even take you over by the original first ever Starbucks, which is really, really exciting. After our one night in Seattle is all said and done, the next morning we are going to hop on board the Amtrak Coast Starlight, and we're going to do an overnight train from Seattle down to San Francisco, California, where we will arrive the following morning. When we arrive in San Francisco, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel, once again in the Fisherman's Wharf or Union Square area of the city. And while we're in San Francisco, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of San Francisco. We get a sightseeing tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito, so you get to see the giant redwood trees in the coastal town of Sausalito, and that's all capped off by a San Francisco Bay cruise. After our 2 nights in San Francisco are all said and done, we are then going to hop on board the Amtrak California Zephyr train, and we're going to do a 2-night journey and ride that train in its entirety as we go all the way from San Francisco back to Chicago. This trip right here, everybody, is 9 days, 8 nights. While we're in Seattle, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. While we're in San Francisco, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, as well as the guided tour of the Muir Woods and Sausalito and the San Francisco Bay cruise. Overall, it's 3 nights hotel, 5 nights on board the train, and yes, those 5 nights on the train, you're definitely going to want to upgrade to the sleepers on this one, as you'll get the private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now, maybe you want to visit just one destination. Maybe you want to visit just maybe one city or one national park. We got some wonderful trips like that as well, like our getaway trips. And this is our most popular getaway trip for our most popular year-round national park. That's right, I'm talking about the Grand Canyon. This is our Grand Canyon getaway round trip from Chicago. Now, once again, keep in mind that all of these packages can start and or end at any of the 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States and Canada. You don't necessarily have to leave out of Chicago. Now, this trip starts off out of Chicago. We do an overnight train from Chicago to Williams, Arizona on the Southwest Chief. Now, I've done this train myself. I did it a couple years back, and the scenery on this train is unbelievable, especially once you really start getting into the Southwest. You're going to see wide open desert plains, snow-capped mountains, plateaus, mesas. It's absolutely beautiful. We arrive into Williams, Arizona the following evening, and when we get into Williams, Arizona, we're going to do one night and essentially located, one night rather, in the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, which is really the gateway to the Grand Canyon. It's a really fantastic property, and we're going to do one night at that hotel. The next morning, you're going to hop on board the famous Grand Canyon Railway, which is the antique train that will take you from Williams, Arizona, up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. When we get to the south rim of the Grand Canyon, we're going to be met by a motor coach for a guided tour of the Grand Canyon South Rim. And then we're going to do one night up in one of the lodges in the Grand Canyon Village, right up at the South Rim. You get to experience what the Grand Canyon South Rim is all about by doing one night up there. After our night in the South Rim is all said and done, the next afternoon, we'll take the Grand Canyon Railway back down to Williams. We'll do one more night in Williams at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, and then the next morning, you'll hop back on board the Amtrak Southwest Chief and do the overnight train back to Chicago. This trip is 6 days, 5 nights. We do 2 nights on board the train. We do 2 nights on board the train, 3 nights hotel. We get round trip service on coach accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway. Now, I will recommend that we can upgrade. We can upgrade to the different types of accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway, whether it be you want to upgrade to first class or the observation dome, or if you want to even go further and upgrade to the luxury dome car or the luxury parlor car, we can do that. You get the Grand Canyon Freedom Tour of the South Rim. It's really fantastic. And yes, those 2 nights on the train are in coach accommodations. Once again, folks, we can upgrade those to the sleepers. You definitely want to do that so you can get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. And of course, we have some really great city stays as well, such as New Orleans. New Orleans is always a popular spot. And this is our New Orleans getaway. And this package is really fantastic. It's a really great way to experience the Big Easy. This package is 3 days, 2 nights. We do 2 nights hotel right in the French Quarter or on Canal Street. We include the jazz brunch at the Court of Two Sisters, so you get to experience some really great Cajun cuisine and get to hear some of that live jazz music that people flock to New Orleans to hear. And then we also include a set of choices between either the Swamp and Bayou Tour, the Super City Tour, or the Steamboat Natchez Evening Jazz Cruise. I always recommend the Super City Tour. It's a really great way to get familiar with the city and see and learn about the rich history that New Orleans has to offer. Or perhaps maybe we want to visit New York City. New York is always a great option. It's one of my favorite cities in the United States. I've been there countless amounts of times, and there's always something fun, new to experience. I love New York. And this is our most popular package for New York City. It's our New York City Getaway. It's a 3-day, 2-night package. You'll do 2 nights right in Midtown Manhattan, right where you want to be. You have a set of choices between admission to the Empire State Building Observatory or the top of the Rock, which is the top of Rockefeller Center. And then you also get a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take you around New York on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions that New York has to offer as well. And no matter which package you're looking at, you can choose the hotels that work best for your needs, as we work with hotels ranging from 3 to 5 stars. We have the hotels that you are familiar to staying at. We work with tons of different options. So if you're used to staying at those 4 and 5 star options, not to worry, we got your back. We have the hotels that work best for you. Now, I've been talking a lot about the packages and the destinations, but what about the train experience? So let's go over that. And the first thing I want to go over is packing for the train, as Amtrak has by far the most generous luggage policy in all of the travel industry. In fact, each passenger on Amtrak is allowed 2 pieces of carry-on luggage, 2 pieces of check-in luggage, as well as a personal items, figuring along the lines of a backpack, briefcase, pocketbook, purse, even a small duffel bag. And the beauty of it is it can all be checked in up to 45 minutes prior to your departure time. It's really as easy as possible. It's not like the airlines where you have to be there hours and hours and hours in advance. 45 minutes is all you need. Now, throughout the presentation, I've been talking about coach and sleepers and upgrades. What exactly does all that mean? So let's go right into that. And the first thing I want to go over is coach seating. As you can see, it's a pretty standard seat on board the train, but take what you know about airplane seating and picture the exact opposite, because coach seating on Amtrak is absolutely comfortable. The seats themselves are typically double the size of your standard airplane seat. They recline at a 45-degree angle, and they also have a leg rest as well. And the legroom is uncomparable. In fact, last year I traveled with one of my colleagues who's 6'6". He could fully stretch his legs out and still have room to spare. Good luck finding that on the airlines, and if you do, you're paying quite the premium on that. This is all standard on board Amtrak. Now, coach seating is great. However, meals are not included, and neither is shower access. If we're doing a night or more on board the train, we're probably going to want to eat. We're probably going to want to take a shower. So where do we go from there? That's right, we can upgrade to the roomettes. The roomettes are by far the most popular type of accommodation on board the train on Amtrak. During the day, it's 2 big seats that face each other with a big picture window in between and a fold-out table in between. At night, the 2 seats convert to the lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, the top bed will pull down. Now, I do want to make note, with the roomettes, meals are absolutely included, and you also get shower access and bathroom access. Now, what do I mean by that? It means, yes, the bathrooms and showers are located down the hall, and yes, they are private but shared. So you will be sharing them with the rest of the people that have roomette accommodations in the same car, but they're private. Once you're in there, you're in there. There's a lock on the door. It's not like a college dormitory where people are coming in and out. And the neat thing is it's a full-size bathroom with a full-size shower. Now, you might say, Nick, this sounds great, but is there a way I can get my own bathroom in room? And the correct answer is yes, we can upgrade you to the bedrooms. The bedrooms are a little bit bigger than the roomettes, and it's a bit of a different layout. So during the day, it's more of a sofa-style seating, like where that lady is sitting, with an extra captain's chair as well, where that gentleman is sitting. At night, that sofa-style seating converts to the lower bed, and right above where the lady's head is, the top bed will pull down. Now, the main difference between the roomettes and the bedroom is you get a private toilet, sink, and shower in room for your use and your use alone when you have the bedroom accommodations. And no matter what sleeping accommodation you have, you get your meals included on board the train. Now, I do want to make note that Amtrak did just recently make a big change, that they eliminated the dining car on all trains east of Chicago. They've replaced it with a new option called freestyle dining, which is still tremendous. You actually get some more flexibility of when you can dine, but you still get your meals included whenever you upgrade to the sleepers. However, on all the double-decker Superliner trains, which are Chicago West, all those trains still have the classic dining car that you have come to love over the years. And your meals are included. And the food on Amtrak is delicious. And you'd be amazed at the quality of meals that are served on board these trains. Take, for instance, for breakfast, there's pancakes or waffles, bacon and eggs, omelets. For lunch, there's juicy cheeseburgers, grilled chicken salads, pasta dishes. For dinner, there's fish, there's chicken, and of course, there's Amtrak's main dish, which you can see the second picture, the Amtrak signature steak, which I can tell you firsthand, I have had that countless amounts of times. I absolutely love it. I know you will too. And the whole process with dining on board the train is really neat. As soon as you board the train, the dining car attendant will come by, set up reservation times for you to eat your meals. When it's time to eat, you head down to the dining car and take a seat in one of these big, comfortable booths with a white linen tablecloth layout. And you get to order from a menu and from a server like you would at a restaurant. So really, Amtrak isn't just transportation. It's really a hotel, a restaurant, and sightseeing all rolled up into one incredible experience on board the rails. And we offer some really great everyday discounts for you all as well. You can save some money every day on any of our packages with some of these discounts. If you're traveling with any children ages 2 to 12, the kids get a 50% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. If you're a senior age 65 and over, you get a 10% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. And lastly, if you're active duty military, you, your spouse, and your dependents get a 10% discount off the rail portion of a package, and Amtrak just recently extended that out to veterans. So yes, if you are a veteran of the military, you get a 10% discount off the rail portion of a package as well. And of course, we have this really great promotion going on right now, the New Year's New Deals sale, which expires this Friday. You don't want to miss out on this. There's savings to be had, big savings. If you book a vacation package that's 3 to 6 nights long, you automatically get $300 off per couple. If you book a package that's 7 to 9 nights long, you get $400 off per couple. Or if you book a package that's 10 or more nights, you automatically get $500 off per couple. This sale has been tremendously popular so far. You won't want to miss out on this. It's your time to take a great trip and save some money. And once again, don't forget to download the handouts. There's 2 handouts where that top arrow is pointing. There's going to be 2 handouts today. There's one in regards to our New Year, New Deal savings, as well as one that shows the Amtrak sleeping accommodations. So don't forget those. And now is the time. If I've seen a lot of great questions come through. If you have any questions at all, input those questions into the questions box where that bottom arrow is pointing, and I will be more than happy to answer any and all questions that you may have for me today. But before I answer your questions, I have a question for you all. Let's have some fun with this. Which rail vacations are you interested in and when? Input your answers into the questions box. I look forward to seeing where you're looking to travel to. We always have a lot of fun with this. So let's see. Where are you looking to go to? Tracy wants to go to New Orleans. Brenda, Washington, D.C., one of my favorite spots. Joyce wants to go to Williamsburg, Virginia. Hey, I love Williamsburg. I went there as a kid, and it was so neat seeing Colonial Williamsburg. We have Susan who wants to do a multi-segment trip. Hey, those are pretty neat. I've done actually quite a few of those before as well. Lana wants to do Niagara Falls in June. Patrick wants to go to Seattle, to Chicago, to D.C., New York, and Toronto. Yes. Shelly is actually looking to book her parents on a 50th anniversary trip on the 15-day park tour. Hey, they're going to love that. Jill wants to go to Florida and Biloxi. Unfortunately, we don't have any packages to Biloxi. I wish we did. Jean wants to go to California. Claudette wants to go to Yellowstone, the Black Hills, and Mount Rushmore. Wow. Debbie wants to go to Charleston, South Carolina. Trina wants to do the U.S. and Canada, but also New Orleans. Judy wants to go to Glacier Park. Keep them coming. Keep them coming, folks. Patrice wants to go Chicago to Florida. That's awesome. Ron wants to go to D.C. Richard wants to go from Seattle to Seattle from Chicago. A lot of great destinations, folks. We can help you out with almost all of these. Annette wants to do the U.S. and Canada. Tracy, we do have trips up to Boston. You can definitely do that. Jill wants to go from Texas to Florida. Debbie wants to go to Birmingham. Amtrak does go to Birmingham, but we just don't have any packages for Birmingham, unfortunately. Any more, folks? Anywhere place else that you're looking to travel to? Sandra wants to go to Seattle. Oh, wow. Nancy wants to go to Tampa. We don't have any packages for Tampa, but Amtrak does go there, so we can set that up. Minnesota, Paul, we do packages from Minneapolis, St. Paul. Tracy, you want to go visit Maine? Is Maine? We have packages for Portland, Maine, most definitely. Jamila, Austin, Texas. We actually just launched packages for Austin last year. Carolyn wants to go to San Diego. Roz wants to go to the Grand Canyon. James wants to go to the north and south rims of the Grand Canyon. Debbie wants to go to DC. These are all some amazing options. And Trina, yes, we do have packages to Alaska. We actually offer rail and sail packages. We've partnered up with Norwegian Cruise Lines that we can actually do the cruise from Seattle up to Alaska. That includes the train, but also the cruise as well. So I did see a lot of great questions come through to here. So let me go ahead and scroll all the way to the top before we wrap it up for today. I had a question here from Judy. Does the train go through South Dakota as it shows on the map? No, the train goes through North Dakota. Through the very northern top of North Dakota. The train does not go anywhere near South Dakota at all. It's actually one of two states that Amtrak does not go near. They are in Wyoming. Paul, how do I get from Phoenix, Arizona to an Amtrak station? So you either have to go up to Flagstaff to catch the Southwest Chief, or you can catch the train out of, if you want to go south, you can catch the train out of Maricopa on the Sunset Limited, which is the train that runs from Los Angeles to New Orleans. Patrice, can I bring a miniature dog in my sleeper car? Unfortunately, no, animals are not allowed on Amtrak unless it is a service animal, and it has to be a service animal with the proper paperwork. You can't just bring a comfort animal like a comfort dog or a comfort cat. Unfortunately, you can't. Amtrak does not allow that. It has to be a service animal with the proper paperwork. Susan, what about discounts for single travelers? So all the discounts that you saw are just half. So if you're doing the saving sales, if you're doing the package that's 3 to 6 nights, you get 150. 4 to 8 nights, it's 7 to 9 nights rather, it's 200, and then the other one for 10 or more is 250. And a good solid 30% of our clients do travel solo, so definitely keep that in mind. Tracy, where do you pick up the train for New Orleans? I mean, you can pick up any of the 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States and Canada. Carolyn, what are the single traveler accommodations accommodation charges? So we do have, it is going to be a little bit more than the prices you saw today, just because the prices are based off double occupancy. However, some people, companies have it where it's straight up double or sometimes more. Ours is almost double, but not quite. Let's see. I had a question here from Cindy. How do you rent a car at an Amtrak station? So we don't really handle rental cars all too much. Only in certain destinations you would be responsible, for that. But some of the stations do have rental cars. So you definitely you could do it on that. VF, I'm in New Jersey. Do I travel to Chicago by Amtrak for the Seattle and San Francisco tour? You can, most definitely. Or we can start you out of New York or out in Trenton or out of Newark. It's completely up to you. Gary, when will the Western train be available out of South? Unfortunately, the train out of St. Augustine to Jacksonville that heads west is not going to be open at all, probably ever, at least in not the foreseeable future at all. So, yeah, so definitely keep that in mind. Amtrak does not do that. Brenda, how do we get around DC once we arrive there? DC is actually very walkable. It's a walkable city, or you could utilize the Metro, which is one of the best subway systems in the United States. Also, too, we offer a really great hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which takes you by all the major sites and attractions that DC has to offer. Judy, I had a question here from Judy. Are there toilets and sinks in the sleepettes? Only on the East Coast, the roomettes do have a toilet and sink in room. For the double-decker trains, the Superliner trains, they do not. They are down the hall. Dennis, is there long-term parking at the stations? Yes, the stations, most stations do offer long-term parking. However, they are operated by third-party companies typically, so Amtrak doesn't really, the prices and availability can fluctuate from station to station. It's always best to just check in before ahead of time to see what the cost is and how many long-term parking spots there are. Debbie, can I catch the train from Atlanta to New Orleans? Yes, that's only a couple-hour-long train. Lynn had a suggestion from my Phoenix friend. From Phoenix, catch the train in Tucson at a great Amtrak station across from the famous hotel, the Congress. Hey, thank you, Lynn. I did not know that. So thank you. Patrick, I will travel across the US via the Empire Builder in Cardinal. I'm traveling alone. When I book a roomette, is it possible that another single traveler will join me in the same roomette? No, you're booking the roomette. It's in it for yourself. You're not going to be paired up with a stranger, which is kind of nice. So you get the roomette to yourself. Trina, do you have handicap rooms? Also, can a veteran spouse get the 10% discount? Yes, we do have handicap rooms. They're pretty big actually. Their rooms big enough to accommodate someone that's in a wheelchair. They have a private toilet and sink in room with the shower just right outside the door. And yeah, Amtrak does really go above and beyond for those that do have handicapped space, need handicap space and mobility issues. Lana, where can I find a list of the 500 stations? You can find that on Amtrak.com. Tina, best, most cost-effective sleeping car for one adult and two teens. I would do two Romettes. That's probably going to be your best bet for cost standpoint. And I would recommend trying to get them across the hall from each other. That way you're all together, and you also have views on both sides of the train, which is awesome. Bobby, does the Chicago to Seattle and through Canada run year round? Can you use the senior discount and the special discount at the same time? How much extra is a sleeper upgrade? Yes, that trip does run year round. Yes, you can use the senior discount and the promotion going on right now. And how much is the sleeper upgrade? Honestly, it can vary. It's all based upon the availability of the sleepers. So I always recommend giving us a call and we can definitely see what that availability is and see what the cost is. Pat, what's available Seattle to Canada? Yes, you could take the train from Seattle to Vancouver, or you could take the ferry from Seattle, the clipper ship, to Victoria Island. So we could do that. Paul, what's the max dimensions for carry-on baggage? It's up to 50 pounds. I don't unfortunately know the actual length and things like that. That you can find on our website at amtrakvacations.com under the trip planning section. Judy, do I have to give a definite date, or can I book a trip within a 2 to 3 week wait? No, you do have to get the discount. You do have to have hard dates. Unfortunately, you need to have actual dates that we can book. Let's see, Roz, to get the difference between Atlanta and Chicago, you just want to have to give us a call. Tracy, Boston, how far is the station from the theater district for a play? It's actually not far at all. You definitely would want to take a taxi, but almost all the hotels that we work with are right in that downtown area of Boston by Tremont Street, which is where the theater district is. So you could definitely do that. I highly recommend actually a place called the Park Plaza. It's one of the most famous hotels in all of Boston. Susan, are most Amtrak stations located by a bus station? Sometimes, not all the time though. Carolyn, with the roomettes, how many people share one bathroom? Well, there's 14 roomettes typically per car, so that's a max of 28 people at capacity. However, there's multiple bathrooms. It's not like there's just one that everyone's going to be fighting over the same one. Joyce, for that train schedule from Orlando to Williamsburg, you'd want to just give us a call. We can look at that for you. VF, is travel to the departure site from my home state complimentary or an addition cost? It is at an additional cost, and the time is additional as well. Debbie, can a disabled person get the 10% discount? Amtrak does have a special discount for those that are traveling with a disability. So yes. Nancy, does the single upcharge apply to hotel rooms too? Why? Yes, it does, and the reason why is because you're booking the same hotel room that it's going to be the same cost no matter if it's one person or two people in there. So it is just by nature going to be a little bit more. Jill, yes, it's in downtown Jacksonville. Judy, if there is availability, can I upgrade the day of? You could, but the chances of that are very slim, but it is a possibility if you really wanted to. Lynn, Amtrak not only accommodates my walker cane, but can also pre-order the vegan meals food for our travelers. Plus, there is lots of options in the dining car. Love Amtrak. Well, Lynn, we love you and we appreciate that, so thank you. Carolyn, are the seats assigned, or you can move around at will all around the train? So you do have your assigned. You have a seat, but not an actual seat number. But you can freely move amongst the train and to visit all the different spots: the dining car, the cafe car, the observation car. You can visit all those different spots. Patrick, do you sometimes have offers for Europeans traveling to Amtrak routes when I will in May 2020? So we don't have anything specifically for European travelers like discounts, but you can take advantage of all the discounts that we do have. And the neat thing is, Patrick, where are you located? because we do have an office in Europe as well, so you can work directly with them if you wanted. We have an office right in the UK. Let's see. What else? Debbie, how do we get more info on the Via train? Yeah, you want to pay us a visit at AmtrakVacations.com. We actually have a whole section on the website about Via Rail. Jill, so can we hop on, hop off, stay a night in New Orleans? You could do that. Yes, we can customize a trip like that. Miranda, how does refund policy work if I have to cancel? So we do offer a really great cancellation trip protection. It's actually one of the best in the travel industry that allows you to cancel up until 12 noon Eastern time, the day of departure. And it's all based upon when you cancel, how much cash back you'll get versus how much voucher and a future travel credit you'll get. It's all based upon when you cancel. But we do offer, and it's literally cancel for any reason at all. Tracy, any recommendation of a place that leads me the closest to the beach from Maryland? Unfortunately, you can take the train to. That's a good one, actually, because we don't really have packages for the beach areas in Maryland at all. So, Susan, do I need my passport to do the U.S. and Canada trip? Yes, you do, or at least an enhanced driver's license. VF, are there cross-country, mid-country, southeast trips tours from New York to Jersey? Yeah, you could do cross-country trips. In fact, we have a really great one that does New York to Chicago, Chicago to Denver, Denver to San Francisco. Clear cut right through the middle of the U.S. Cindy, how do you accommodate a family of 4, 2 adults and 2 children? You can do the family room, which can accommodate 2 adults, 2 children. It's a pretty big room that can fit 4 people, 2 adults and 2 smaller kids, or I recommend doing 2 roomettes across the hall from each other. Carolyn, can you get a senior discount and the veteran discount, or is it just one or the other? It is one or the other. Judy, is there a possibility to change your roomette number on the car prior to boarding? No, essentially, you can do it ahead of time, like, as long as there's availability, but you can't do it day of, unfortunately. Cindy, do you get a discount if you already have the National Park Pass? Well, you don't have to worry about paying the entrance fees for that. Richard, yes, we have the family sleeper, and that can fit 2 adults and 2 small children. Philip, do you pay the entire trip at the day you want to make reservations? So we do. All that's required to book with us is a deposit, and the deposit is based on the total cost of the trip. So it's all a percentage of how much your actual total trip costs. Once the deposit's down, final payment is due 60 days prior to your departure date. So it's not like it's all due at once. And you can make as many or as little payments as you want along the way. A lot of people will actually, if they're booking far in advance, will do like their own like payment plan and put down a certain amount of money along the way. Tracy, unfortunately, we don't have any packages to Disney, but the train does go to Orlando and to Kissimmee. Miranda, do you offer group packages? Unfortunately, we don't really offer big groups. 8 people's fine, but we don't really do giant groups because we don't hold group allocations. So we can't guarantee that everyone will pay the same rate or stay in the same hotels. And that's on bigger groups. So it's always best to give us a call and we can take a look into that. Debbie wants to know, does the dining room card take debit or credit card? Yes, they sure do. Jill, from there, you'd have to change trains twice. VF, from New York to San Francisco, it's 3 nights altogether. It's 1 night from New York to Chicago, and then it's a 2-night journey from Chicago to San Francisco. Richard, do I need a passport to go into Canada? Yes, you do, or an enhanced driver's license. Felicia, can meals be ordered from your seats? They can, but you just want to let one of the conductors know on board the train. And it looks like we are out of questions for today. So I want to take time just to thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your morning to learn a little bit about what we have going on. If you want to book with us, please give us a call at that number right on your screen at 1-800-268-7252. And one of our amazing vacations consultants will help you book your rail vacation. You can book through our website at amtrakvacations.com. You can actually book a lot of our single city getaway trips directly through the website. Or what I always recommend, give a call, or better yet, pay a visit to your local travel agent. In fact, I've been in the travel industry for just about 10 years. I still utilize my local travel agent still to this day for all my travel needs. They're a really wonderful resource. They're there to find the best values and the best discounts and the best trips, and they do a great job at planning out your vacation. So I highly recommend that. And we do these presentations every single Wednesday, so hopefully you can join us next week. And until next time, everyone, I hope you all take care. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.